Hi, I'm Ty from Outdoor Skills for Kids, and today I'm going to show you how to set up two kinds of tarp shelters. It's going to be a simple lean-to shelter, and then we're going to have an A-frame shelter. I'm going to set up the shelter between these two trees over here. So between that tree over there and then that one over there. So the equipment that we're going to need for this is we are going to need a tarp with some guy ropes attached to it. And then we are going to need a ridge line. So that's another section of rope that we are going to need with some smaller loops attached to it as well. And I'll run through that. That's going to be our prussics. And then we need some tent pegs. I've just got some steel tent pegs, but we can fashion these out of some fallen branches as well. So let me get to it and show you how to set up the ridge line over there. So to set up our ridge line, the first knot we're going to tie around our tree, we're going to do a Siberian hitch. So we're going to take the loose end, we're going to wrap it around the tree like that. And then you're going to place the palm of your hand up with the loose end running over the top. Then we are going to loop, make a loop around the loose end like that. We're going to point your hand down, come across, and we're going to grab that loose piece and we're going to pull it through the loop we just created. And if we pull that against the tree, that forms a nice secure anchor that is a really quick release, because if we need to break down our top, all we need to do is tug on this little bit and the knot comes apart. So I'll run through that one more time. We're going to take the loose end of the rope, we're going to wrap it around the tree trunk. You're going to have your palm facing up, and with the loose end of rope, you're going to wrap it around your palm once. Then we're going to point your fingers down. You're going to come up and across and pull the tail, that loose end, through the loop that you just created with your hand. And then once that's tight, we're going to slide it against the tree, and that locks it against the tree, with the loose end there being a really easy, quick release anchor. So if you just pull on that, it will come loose. With our Siberian hitch in place, now we need to secure the rope on the other end using another quick release anchor. To tie the quick release anchor, we've got the taut end of the rope over here, and we're going to wrap it around the tree. And we're going to take that loose end, pull it tight, and then we're going to wrap it over the top of this line. So it's gone over the top, and we're going to pull it back, cinch it down, and it comes over the top. And when you come over the top, I want you to create a loop like that, or a bite. Bring that bite over this line, wrap it, twist, put two twists in that, and then the tail section of the rope is what you pull through these loops, that loop over there. Pull it through the bottom, keep some tension on it, and again, that forms a nice quick release knot, so that when we pull on that, all we have to do is to pull on that, and then that will release us, release the knot for a quick pack up of your camp. Okay. Now it's time to set up your prussics. This over here is a prussic that's already set up. So I've got a loop, and the beauty of this particular knot is that I can put my fingers on the knot itself, slide it as much as I want, and the minute I pull on this portion, that knot locks down. So it locks down, and it's going to be handy to keep your top taut and in place. So that's the knot. Slides when you need to slide it, when you put your hand on it, but the minute you pull on that cord, it locks out. So the way to make this particular knot is quite simple. All you need to do is have a section of cord with an overhand knot in that center section. Then I want you to place that knot, that loop, over your line like that, and take the knot through the middle and wrap it around the cord. Take it through the middle again. So you want to get 3 wraps around that cord. And once you've wrapped it through the center portion over there of that loop, then you dress the knot by pulling it through. And there you've got your prusik. Again, the beauty of this knot is if I pull on that cord, it cinches down against your ridge line, hold it in place. Or if you need to move it, you can just put your hand on the knot and it can slide. So we're going to have these 2 knots on our ridge line to secure the top of our tarp. Okay, once you've got the section of your tarp over your ridge line that you want to secure that to the prusik loop that you just created. So the way that I do that is I feed the one corner of the rope through one of the tarp corners, something like that, do a simple overhand knot, and then repeat the same process on the opposite side of our tarp. My favorite knot to make for the guy line is what we call a taut line hitch, and that's because it's an adjustable knot that we can adjust the tension on our tarp. So to make that, we're going to take this taut end of our guy line, we're going to wrap it around our peg and create some tension. Then we're going to wrap that tail end of the rope over the taut line and pinch that section. Then we're going to take our hand and we're going to slide our hand through that gap, pull that tail and wrap it over the taut end. We're going to do that 2 to 3 times, if not 4. And we just create those coils. See those coils over there? Those coils are like fingers holding onto the rope. The more coils we have, the tighter it will hold. Once we've got at least 3 coils, we're going to take this tail section and we can create a loop by pulling that tail underneath this section of the rope, and then we put that tail through that loop, tying it off and dressing that knot. What that does is, if I pull on this rope and I pull on that rope, it will not slip. But if I put my hand on that knot, I can increase the tension and it will still hold. Or I can put my hand on the knot and slide it down to take some tension off. So having that adjustable tension is a very, very handy tip for setting up your shelters. That's our lean-to shelter complete. And the setup is brilliant because it allows you to get some good space underneath your shelter where you can set up your sleeping area. And where my backpack is, that's where you could set up a campfire, where that would provide some heat towards your shelter. So the way that we set this up is to have a bit of a leaning roof over here. That just gives you some extra rain protection. And the prusik loop on the top on our ridge line, that provides some security to the top of your tarp, so that this end pulls, the other end is also pulling, creating a taut tarp and shelter construction. So if we need to loosen that, all we have to do is put our hand on that knot, slide it in, and it loosens the knot completely. But if we put our hand on the knot and we pull, it creates tension, it's taut, and if you pull on this side, the knot will not slip. It is absolutely brilliant, and we use this in mountaineering all the time. As for our guy lines, the knot that I've got set up over here is a taut line hitch, which is one of the 4 key knots that I teach in this course that you have access to. And again, the beauty of this particular knot is that you can slide it down, which takes the tension off, or we can slide it up to create tension in our guy line. So having this knot being adjustable is essential and a brilliant idea. To make our A-frame shelter, we are going to use the same principles as the lean-to, where we've got a ridge line set up between 2 anchor points, 2 trees. We have our prusik loop on this end over here, tied to the midpoint of the shelter so that the two are hanging equally in length. And if we pull on this end over here, it creates tension across the top of the shelter, keeping it everything in place. So the only thing we've got left to do is to peg the corners. Our A-frame shelter has been constructed in less than 5 minutes. So the beauty of the A-frame, it provides shade, potential rain protection. One of the tips that I have if it's raining is to actually bring that corner down lower to the ground. So this corner, we want to sort of drop it down low to the ground so that we don't get rain blowing in through the bottom of the shelter. So the setup is easy to make and is very, very convenient. We've got the prusik loops at the top holding that taut ridge of the shelter in place with the prusik green loop on the other end. When you fix your guy lines, try to get the angle sort of perfectly positioned so it brings tension to the corner of the loop. That guy line over there will run parallel to the guy line on the opposite end. So that's our A-frame shelter that I would be very happy to spend the night under. A great little project to do with the kids, to teach him how to improvise and make a simple shelter from something so simple as a tarp.